Shalom, brothers and sisters. Grace, mercy, and peace be unto you from Yahuwah the Father and Yahusha our Mashiach, his voice. Hear, O Yasharal. Yahuwah, our mighty one, he is one Yahuwah. This is Brother David coming to you again to bring you marriage in Torah. And this is part 3. We're dealing today with the laws and statutes. Look at this beautiful wedding that I found in Africa. Look at how he's looking at her. What do you think he's saying to her? Baby, you look so good. After this ceremony, I'm going to give you a kiss on the neck. And you know what happens from there. But here in the lands of our captivity, young ladies, you give yourself to these slick talking brothers. They know what you like. They know you want to be noticed. They know that you look for their approval. So they come and give it to you. Whatever you want, that's what they will deliver. They will even say things like this. Oh, baby, I love you so much. They just met you now, but they're in love with you. It is a form of manipulation. Ladies, do not fall for the okie doke. That's how you got into the situations that you've got in today in the lands of your captivity, because you were taken by these slick talking brothers. But in the kingdom, the Father has protection for you. They won't be able to do this without a penalty. And men, the Father protects you also from these women who are just wicked and evil. Let's begin. Deuteronomy chapter 22, verses 13 to 16. Verse 13, a man might marry a woman. Look at the definition of marry. Sleep with her. You're not married until you have consummated this marriage bed and decide he doesn't like her. Ladies, you're going to be protected in the kingdom. Verse 14, then he might make up charges against her and ruin her reputation by saying, I married this woman, but when I slept with her, I found out she wasn't a virgin. So the key to the protection under this law is that you must have been a virgin before you got married to this man. Verse 15, and remember what marriage is. Sleep with her. Verse 15, the girl's father and mother must go to the city gate where the leaders of the city are and submit the evidence that their daughter was a virgin. What evidence is that? The sheet from the marriage bed when he broke the hymen and she began to bleed. The blood goes on the sheet, and that is the token of her virginity. Verse 16, the girl's father will tell the leaders, I gave my daughter in marriage to this man, but he doesn't like her. Verse 17, now he has made up charges against her. He says he found out that my daughter wasn't a virgin. I wonder how he found that out. But here's the evidence. Then the girl's parents must spread out the cloth in front of the leaders of the city. Verse 18. The leaders of that city must take the man and punish him. Hold it. They're going to punish him all because they spread out the cloth? Well, it's what's on the cloth. The token of her virginity. The bloodstain. Verse 19. They will fine him 2¼ pounds of silver and give it to the girl's father. Hold it. Why are they giving the 2¼ pounds of silver to the girl's father? The accusation was made against the girl. Well, the father is the covering. I hope you guys are getting this. The laws are perfect. He is the one whom really this accusation came up against, was the father. The husband ruined the reputation of an Yisraelite virgin, and she will continue to be his wife and can never divorce her as long as he lives. Now, the next part is going to explain why the 2¼ pounds of silver was given to the girl's father. Verse 20. But if the charge is true, and no evidence that the girl was a virgin can be found. Verse 21. They must take the girl to the entrance of her father's house. The men of her city must stone her to death because she has committed such a unrighteous, not godless, unrighteous act in Yasharal. She had sex before marriage, while she was still living in her father's house. She disgraced her father's house by having sex and then lied about it. When she went to marry another man and posed as a virgin when she was not. That's why the money went to the father. Because the accusation in all reality was against the covering. He fought for many years to make sure that his daughters were protected and they were untouched by any man. So when he made that false accusation, he had to go and pay for it, and the young lady will be his wife and he could never put her away. But now they found out that the girl was at fault. You must take her to the door or the entrance of the father's house. Hey, mommy's there. The sisters are there. The family is there. The servants are there. The neighborhood would come out. Everyone in Yasharal will witness her being stoned to death until she dies. Why must we carry out these judgments? You must get rid of this evil. It's the only way to get rid of this wickedness. Death. Verse 22. If a man is caught having sexual intercourse with a married woman, both the man and the woman must die. Did he say just the man? Did he say just the woman? Both of them must be put to death. Adultery, the penalty is death. Why must we do this? You must get rid of this evil in Yasharal. Verse 23. This is what you must do when a man has sexual intercourse with a virgin who is engaged to another man. Look at the last part. If this happens in a city, hey, if you're engaged to a man you can't have sex with anyone because it's like you're married already. You've already vowed, betrothed yourself to this man. You belong to him. And once he goes into you, it seals the deal. But according to the law, once you're espoused, you're already married. If this happens in the city, what is a virgin doing in the city unaccompanied? Are you with me, brothers and sisters? Fathers, this is what you must keep your daughters from. They have to stay at home. You have to guard their virginity. There is trouble out there. The only one who can protect her is her covering. That's the father. Look at what happens if a man has sexual intercourse with a virgin who is engaged to another man. If this happens in the city, take them to the gate of the city and stone them to death. Death penalty again. The girl must die because she was in a city and didn't scream for help. Of course not. The reason she came to the city in the first place was to have this encounter. The man must die because he had sex with another man's wife. Hold it. Suppose he didn't know that she was espoused, engaged to another man. That is no excuse, brothers. An inquiry must be sought. You must go to the parents, the father and the mother of the young lady, and ask for her hand in marriage and see whether she's engaged or not. If you did not do that, you have bypassed the customs of Yasharol. And what must we do to people who carry out these actions? You must get rid of this evil. Verse 25. But if a man rapes an engaged girl, she's engaged, she's espoused to another man, out in the country, then only the man must die. Why is that? Verse 26. Don't do anything to the girl. She has not committed a sin for which she deserves to die. Look at what this is likened unto. This is like the case of someone who attacks and murders another person. You've murdered that young lady. Do you know something, brothers and sisters? I've been in ministry for quite a few years, and when I was in the church, I had to counsel quite a few young ladies. Did you know that about 60% of the young ladies whom I counsel, they all told me of rape events? Did you hear that number, 60%? It's probably higher than that. Look at what our young ladies are going through here in America because there's no rules, no laws, no statutes, no judgments to protect them. So rape is running rampant. Hey, listen to this. Guess who the ones who are raping them? Family members. They murdered that girl. Why do you think that they're out there and they're so crazy? Because their life has already been taken from them. When you take their virginity, you have taken their life. Verse 27, the man found the girl out in the country. She may have screamed for help, but no one was there to rescue her. So what do you do to him? You kill him. Verse 28. This is what you must do when a man rapes a virgin who isn't engaged. So this one is not engaged. When the crime is discovered, you see, that's a crime. A crime has a punishment. If you discover them, verse 29, look what the punishment is. The man who had sexual intercourse with her must give the girl's father 1¼ pounds of silver, and she will become his wife. Not only did you have to pay, but through your sexual intercourse, she has become your wife. Are you seeing this, brothers and sisters? He can never put her away as long as he lives, since he raped her. There's no sticking and stepping in the kingdom, brothers and sisters, if the girl is a virgin, and it's a crime. Look, this is how you know that us, those who came from Africa, are the people in the book. Have you ever watched Shaka Zulu? Remember Nandi and Kosa Makana, whatever his name was? That he went to the river and he did his bird dance. And he caught her eye and he went into her. He must have kissed her on the neck. Said, "Come here, baby." And the next thing you know, she came forth with a seed. It was outside of the norm. When she went back after she had the baby, which was his firstborn male heir, remember, he went into her. Once he did that, he purchased her with his penis. She became his wife in all reality. When she went back to him, the father, Nandi's father, pleaded with Kosa Makana, or whatever his name was. He was the king of the Zulu nation. And they went for a price that he would have to pay. And Nandi said, "I want 50 cattle. And he says, "No way," and began to walk away. And when she didn't change her mind, he says, 50. And then she knew that she had all power in her hands according to the law, because that was the firstborn male heir. And she was already espoused to him because he had sex with her. And listen what he said afterwards. But there will be no marriage ceremony. Watch it again and you will see. Verse 30. A man must never marry his father's wife, because this would be a disgrace to his father. All right, here in Deuteronomy, they didn't give us the penalty for this, so I had to go looking for it in Leviticus chapter 19, verse 11. The man who lies with his father's wife has uncovered his father's nakedness. You've heard this language before, haven't you? Remember Ham uncovered his father's nakedness? What does that mean? Now we understand. He had sex with his father's wife. Are you seeing it now? And what happened afterwards? Noah was drunk. When he woke up, he found out what Ham had done, but he did not curse Ham. Who did he curse? Canaan, his firstborn. Why didn't he curse Ham? Ham was the culprit. Well, when they came out of the ark, Yahuwah had blessed them, and whom Yahuwah blesses, no man can curse. So Noah only could curse Canaan, the firstborn son. Look at the penalty, which did not happen with Ham. Instead, there was a curse laid down from Noah. Both of them shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them. Deuteronomy chapter 24, verses 1 to 4. Verse 1. This is what you must do if a husband writes out a certificate of divorce, gives it to his wife, and makes her leave his house. Who can give a certificate of divorce? Only the husband. But in the lands of our captivity, is it so? No. The woman is also allowed to give a certificate of divorce to her husband. Why is that? Because of property rights, and because she's in bondage to marriage, to the government. So in order for her to be free legally, she has to have a divorce. And the reason she wants to be free legally is either property or she wants to get married again. Not so in the kingdom. Now, this is what I wanted to point out to you. Let's see if I can thread the needle for you. The reason he divorced her. Look, it's in parentheses right here. He divorced her because he found out something indecent about her and she no longer pleased him. So she didn't commit adultery. Maybe her breath stunk. Or she didn't know how to perform. But anyway it goes, Moses did this. This is an addition to the law. 1, 2, 3, 4. Moses made this addition to the law because the men's hearts were hardened. What was Moses trying to accomplish by making this addition that wasn't addressed in the rest of the law? He didn't want the men to beat the pulp out of these women because they didn't like them. He didn't want the woman to be abused. So he said, we will allow the men to give their wives a certificate of divorce, and then the woman will be free, and look what it says in verse 2, she might marry another man after she leaves his house. Verse 3, if her second husband doesn't love her and divorces her, or if he dies. Verse 4, her first husband is not allowed to marry her again. Why? She's become unclean. This would be disgusting in Yahuwah's presence. Listen what it says. Don't pollute with sin, transgression of the law, the land that Yahuwah, your Elohim, not Elohim. Elohim is plural. Yahuwah is one, so it should be Eloah, is giving you as property. Let's go back to verse 1. Why he divorced her. In the New Testament, Yahusha was approached with this. They said Moses allowed us to give a letter of divorce to our wives for any cause. What do you have to say about that, Yahusha? And he said it wasn't so from the beginning. But Moses allowed you guys to give your wives a letter of divorce because your hearts were hardened. Then he made another statement. He said the only reason I say, and he's the voice of Yahuwah, I say, the only reason you can give her a letter of divorce is because of marital unfaithfulness. Okay, let's get the right word. Adultery. Hold it, Brother David. We've been going through the law all this time, right? And we see that if a woman steps out of the marriage bed and sleeps with another man while she's still married to that guy, she has committed adultery, she must die, and the man also. So why did Yahusha make this amendment to the law and instead of death allowed you to get a divorce? They were in captivity. 400 years already. They had forgotten the law. They were now under the law of the Europeans. The Romans ruled with an iron hand, and before that, the Greeks even ruled with an iron hand. The Greeks did not allow them to carry out any of their laws, statutes, judgments, and commandments. They were forbidden to do so. So now here, Yahusha knew that you can't go around stoning the man and the woman on your own because you're under the rule of law of the people who conquered you. So he said, just to bring peace, you can divorce this woman, but only if she's committed adultery. Look at verse 2, what Moses did. After this guy let her go, she could marry another man, right? Yahusha doesn't say that. He says if you put away your wife for any cause, go read it yourself and you'll see. If you put away your wife for any cause, except for marital unfaithfulness, which is adultery, you have caused her, if she goes out to marry another man, to commit adultery, and the man has become an adulterer. All right, let's look on the other hand. What about the woman who committed adultery and was given a letter or certificate of divorce? She also, if she marries another man or is with another man, she has committed adultery. And causes him to commit adultery also. Brothers and sisters, this is our chance to repent and turn from our wicked and evil ways. This is your time now. Don't do it again. Because when you get into the kingdom, those who do such things will die. How do we know that? Look in verse 4 on the bottom. Do not pollute with sin the land that Yahuwah, your Eluah, has given you as property. This would be disgusting in his sight. So as you see, Moses was allowed to make an addition to the law. Yahusha was allowed in the New Testament to make an amendment to the law. But still, anyone who commits adultery is frowned upon. Don't we have a lot of repenting to do? We've already started. Verse 5. A man who has recently been married will be free from military duty or any public service. For 1 year, he is free to stay at home and make his new wife happy. How's he going to do that? Come here, baby. Let me kiss those big, brown, juicy lips. Then he goes a little lower, kisses her on the neck. And I think everyone is familiar with what happens next. Deuteronomy chapter 25, verses 5 to 7. Now, this is the one that we started this series with. You know, the 7 brothers and whose wife will she be in the resurrection. Remember, that was just a hypothetical that the Sadducees were trying to trap Yahusha with. But here's the law. Verse 5. When brothers live together and one of them dies without having a son, his widow, she must not marry outside of the family. Her husband's brother must marry her. Look at the definition of marry. Sleep with her. he must do his duty as her brother-in-law. Now, why is that? The same seed, the same spirit that the brother that died has is the same seed and the same spirit that the brother who is alive has. Verse 6. Then the first son she has will carry the dead brother's name, not the living brother, but the one who passed away, so that his name won't die out in Yasharal. You see how important this name is? You remember when we're going into the kingdom, 7 women are going to come and say, just give me your name. Take away our shame, take away our reproach, take away our disapproval. Because this name is powerful. And the Father does not want our names to be blotted out in the land of Yasharal. Now, in order for you to understand this and to actually see this law in action, I made a series, Daughters of Sarah. And you're going to find Ruth. I think there's about 4 parts to it. And you will understand this part of the brother-in-law, which is basically known as the kinsman redeemer. Verse 7. But if the man doesn't want to marry, have sex with his brother's widow, she must go to the leaders of the city at the city gate. She must say, my brother-in-law refuses to let his brother's name continue in Yasharal. When you say it like that, doesn't it sound like wickedness? He wants to blot out his brother's name in the kingdom. He doesn't want to do his duty according to the law as my brother-in-law. Verse 8. Then the leaders of the city must summon him and talk to him. What do you think they're going to say? Hey, bruh, you know good and well you must do your duty to your brother's wife. This is according to the law. And after he's been told these things, if he persists in saying that he doesn't want to marry her, what does marriage mean here in the scripture? Go into her, no ceremony needed. Why do you think he didn't want to go into her? I came up with 2 things. Maybe she was unappealing to him. Maybe she turned him off. Or maybe she was banging one of the most beautiful and shapely daughters of Zion that you've ever seen. And his current wife was jealous. And she gave him a hard time over this and probably said, if you marry her, I'm going to make your life miserable. But whatever the case is, verse 9, his brother's widow must go up to him in the presence of the leaders. She must take off one of his sandals and spit in his face. She must make this formal statement. Listen to the statement. Hopefully, ladies, you'll never have to do this. This is what happens to a man who refuses to continue his brother's family line. Wow, that sounds like wickedness. She took off his sandal. She spit in his face. Now she's made this statement. Look at verse 10. Then in Yasharal, his family will be called the family of the man without a sandal. So if the latter was the problem. Maybe she was too beautiful, and the wife, his current wife, didn't want him to go into her because she was jealous. She knew that this woman might become his favorite, or that she was not appealing to him. Whichever one it is, the whole family is going to be disgraced. They will have a label in the land. They will be shunned. When people see them, they'll say, oh, those are the people of the man without a sandal. So if you think, brothers and sisters, that these laws are something new, we know that our family members, they exist in the land of Africa. And do you know they carry out these punishments there? Yes, they do. Not to the fullest. But if they catch you in adultery, they're going to publicly beat the crap out of you and expose you to everyone, and you will be a disgrace in the land. Let me read this to you. A well-known prophet of life in Christ Church in Lusaka's Makini Villa Park, his name is John Negulub, 32, was beaten near death after he was allegedly found committing adultery with his neighbor's wife. She was supposed to have her butt kicked too. Most likely she did. He was in the church. The woman came to the church. As you see, he is butt naked. And they caught them under this table having sex. You see, look, in her hand, she has her bra, her underwear. In her hand, she's begging and pleading for mercy. Now you're going to plead for mercy after what you have done? Look at this statement that I put in the bottom. As a man soweth, so shall he also reap. You've heard that you reap what you sow, right? This has to do with the law. This is not an open statement that if a person does something, they're going to reap what they sow through secular sources. Is going to fall out the sky. You see, in the law, there's judgments that has to be carried out. When you come upon a case like this, you have to carry out judgment. What's going to happen in the kingdom when you're in the land? Both of them shall die. What happens if you put out your brother's eye? An eye for an eye. A tooth for a tooth. What happens if you steal your brother's cow? You got to give his cow back plus some extra. As a man soweth, so shall he also reap. And the ones who have to carry it out are the children of Yasharal. This is not a mystery. This is according to the law. Continue to part 4. Shalom.